A warm welcome back to today's aviation news recap. From a safety alert on the Boeing 737 to updates regarding aircraft delivery and an airline breaking records. Why not begin with a safety alert that has been issued by the Federal Aviation Administration in the last week for the Boeing 737 family. Again, my apologies in the lateness of getting to this. Not only was I traveling, but then got a pretty strong bout of the travel sickness, if you will. So here we are today with the FAA stating in a document that the subject refers to the potential for a jammed and or restricted rudder on the 737 series, equipped with the optional Collins Aerospace SVO 730 rudder rollout guidance. The safety alert for operators involves those that fly the 737 600, 700, 800, 900, 900ER, or just generally the 737NG, and it also includes currently certified and active 737 MAX variants, so really it ranges from the old to the new. An SAFO also largely follows an incident involving a 7378 from the MAX series. Now, this incident saw the flight crew aboard an aircraft unable to move the rudder pedals during the landing rollout. After this incident, a formal investigation was launched and concerns began to arise over how such a complication was possible, and obviously if this was to be widespread. The preliminary investigation found that the jammed and or restricted rudder resulted from basically moisture entering the actuator during the flight and freezing it. While inspections are going to occur, the FAA notes this may be more widespread and affect aircraft operators. It's basically just doing its due diligence. Now, airlines must recommend that their flight crews follow the NNC, that is a non-normal checklist for jammed or restricted flight controls. This will determine if rudder restrictions occur and if the differential braking is necessary to maintain the runway's centerline. All this information can be found in the SAFO that was outlined by the Federal Aviation Administration, quite a lengthy document that takes a look at this issue. Pilots are also said to avoid using the nose wheel steering above 100 knots in indicated airspace unless absolutely necessary for airplane control. Ultimately, this safety alerts follows a, you might recall, safety recommendation that came at the end of September, which was perceived as the early stages of this matter, and then an SAFO really is the escalation. As part of this notice, action must be taken to ensure that the aircraft in service are obviously of the highest standard, and we don't see a situation worsen aboard a flight. Many foreign carriers that operate the 737 are said to be affected, and also those within the United States, as to recall your memory, the incident did occur on a United Airlines aircraft initially, really sparking all of this. Over to Norse Atlantic Airways, who are breaking fundamental records in their business with load factor performance. Norse Atlantic Airways for September achieved a load factor of 89%. Now, this represents an 11 percentage point increase per annum and shows a successful end to one of the year's busiest periods for this company. While the load factors were at a superb 89%, the airline offered 513 flights, this a 2% increase from last year. Norse also achieved a 100% completion rate, with punctuality increasing just the 1 percentage point to 81. The total number of monthly passengers was 146,688, an 11% jump. Norse will feel if that the monthly can increase. Well, there's great optimism for the future with those steady improvements as the airline looks to grow. RPKs, that being your revenue passenger kilometers, jumped 17%, while ASKs, that is your available passenger seats when multiplied by flight distance, grew by 3%. These are just some of the primary metrics that Norse Atlantic and really any airline will like to publicize. While load factors do continue to rise, the results across the next 6 months will arguably be the most important. While no, you can't ever guarantee an airline enjoying strong performance month over month, for a company like Norse Atlantic, you can definitely be certain that during the northern summer schedule, it'll enjoy some of its more successful months, but typically over the colder months between October and March, it's been some of its toughest. Norse Atlantic really relies on the summer seasonal demand to propel its yearly results. With more flying during this period, its results will often double between May and September. However, when analysing performance across the quieter months, which you will see on your screen now, the drop-off is more than noticeable and means that maybe to a certain extent some would question the long-term viability of this airline if this was to continue. While historically all airlines operating a model similar to Norse and those even in a similar geographical positioning have struggled, change is required and Norse are on the front foot trying to find something that works for them. Last winter, Norse, for example, launched a lot of different routes to more warm weather locations, and this winter it is looking to use its aircraft to aid companies that require capacity. It's all about finding ways to really be successful during those quieter months. As for Boeing, they've published their deliveries for the commercial airplanes division for the entirety of the third quarter. Now, this basically was possible thanks to September's performance being revealed. So across the quarter, there were 116 deliveries, with the 737 family unsurprisingly leading from the front with 92 units. Meanwhile, Boeing shipped off just a few 777 jets and 767s, while the popular 787 saw 14 total deliveries. The latest quarterly performance shows that Boeing has delivered 291 commercial aircraft across the 2024 calendar year, with just 3 months remaining. The number is substantially less than its rival of Airbus, but that really was to be expected, and to be honest, I don't think there'd be many of you that didn't see that coming. Since the beginning of the year, all plans for 2024 basically were derailed in the first week following a door blowout incident aboard an Alaska Airlines 737 MAX. And while maybe there was some of us that believed it would just be an isolated problem and everything would be fine in unfortunately very typical Boeing fashion, it's completely unraveled into an absolute disaster, and that's really what 2024 has been. Not only have we seen the FAA increase its oversight into production practices, which has meant Boeing hasn't been able to increase its output, and I'll just put it on the side that not that it would even be able to do so, but now there's strike action, and fundamentally this is really hurting the plane makers' ability to deliver planes on time and just generally produce aircraft. So you're seeing a knock-on effect from every single angle, and October arguably won't be any better. The strike action has gone on for the majority of this month, and now so many programs have halted. So the first port of call is to try and recover eventually from this strike action and rebuild as a business. But like I've said to you time and time again, with every passing week, you just think it can't get any worse and something else happens. And that's tiresome. I think we all just want to move forward, and it feels like we can't. And I can't imagine what it's like for those employees at the company, those that rely on them for their job, that are just continuing to be hit and hit when they're down. And just as they're rising back up, they're hit again. Let me know your thoughts on today's industry news, maybe focusing on the positive. Norse breaking some records. What do you think the next 6 months hold for them? Thanks for watching, take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow for your latest industry news.